It was photo day out at Salt River Fields for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was also a rainy day. God, I hope the guys didn't get messy before they took their pictures. SkeeYee and welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast, live at 5. I tried something different there. Welcome in. My name is Derek Montilla, of course, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. Thrilled to have you guys here and thrilled to be providing more Diamondbacks updates from camp as things get prepared to kind of wrap up. I mean, camp doesn't really end. They still keep doing these drills and they keep practicing while spring training games are going on, but the end of camp is tomorrow, and I will miss it. But I won't miss the 14,000 steps I've been putting in every single day walking around that facility. I am not alone here today. Of course, I'm joined by the one, the only Damon Farrell, a.k.a. Damon Dog, on the ones and twos. Bark, bark to you, Damon. Hope you're having a good day, my friend.
Good to see you, Derek.
Yeah.
Missed you at the office earlier today, but it's good to have you here.
I was stuck in the rain for a very long time. I actually went out to Salt River Fields kind of late today because it was photo day, right? So they canceled media availability in the morning, and they kind of let us know that the guys were going to be busy taking all of the wonderful pictures that Damon uses to make the thumbnails for this show. We appreciate them doing that.
Shout out Jordan Lawlar.
Yeah, shout out to the Jordan Lawlar picture from today's thumbnail for sure. But it was a rainy day out there at Salt River Fields. And of course, if you're in Arizona and you kind of love that, like it wasn't torrential downpour or anything like that. It wasn't something that was unpleasant to be in. It's one of those rare rainy days during the spring where you can kind of enjoy it knowing that soon enough there'll be 115-degree days coming here and ruining our lives for a brief period of time. But before we get to that, of course, we have all of this wonderful weather that we get to enjoy before things get super hot. But Torey discussed the rain in his opening statement. He loved having the rainy day out there, and he loved the fact that these guys are, getting to kind of work under these conditions, which one, aren't ideal, and two, have kind of the training and the schedule changed today. Things kind of had to be moved around due to the rain a little bit. And of course, just Torey loves it because it gives these guys a chance to react to all of this craziness. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, good day today. We talk about being adaptable and making adjustments inside of our culture, right? There, was some things that changed rapidly this morning with the weather, late scheduled meetings. So we pushed our day all the way back to basically right now. And we don't get off the field at 2:45, 3 o'clock, but these guys really gave a good effort and got the job done today. Probably the most exciting part of the day for me was being able to work in the rain. We don't get a chance to do that very often here. So, we're in a very controlled atmosphere at Chase. We have beautiful days in spring, and we're always working in those types of environments. But with the rain coming down, I was super fired up about that. We got great infield work, and the infielders need to learn how to pick up a ground ball and working around the infield when the ball's not perfect. So great work day, and that's probably the most excited that I've been so far today, or so far this spring, because it's something we don't get to practice a lot.
And I know it almost seemed like he was being a little dramatic there, but I get what he's saying. Like, the conditions at Salt River Fields during spring are so perfect that it's rare you're ever going to play during the regular season on days that nice. Maybe you will sometimes in certain cities on day games and such, Damon, right? Like nice blue skies with some clouds in the sky, but mostly like high 70s temperatures and, sunshine and all of that. Like the conditions here when these teams play spring training are amazing. So it does definitely help to have a little adversity, a little something, just to kind of mix it up, right? Just to have some variables thrown in there. And I asked Torey about that, if that's kind of what he liked here most about the rain. This is what he had to say.
Totally. and they weren't complaining about it. I just think the coaches went out there. We all amplified the intensity because we created an awareness of the players amplified the intensity because we created an awareness of how important it was. So yeah, we don't ever get that opportunity ever, and we go on the road, and all of a sudden we're thrown into an environment that we're not very used to. So I think being able to practice like that today was real exciting for me.
And again, it's just giving this team a chance to go through different drills and such with different conditions. Again, the rain was not rain. It was not rain, Damon. It was like the mist that you get from a restaurant in Scottsdale, and their system to keep you cool during the summertime. That's about the level of rain that we got out there at Salt River Fields. I'm not going to talk trash about it though. I left and went to Chipotle. That's what I did while it rained. So I can't sit there and be the tough guy. However, I will defend myself. I will defend Megan Plain, and I will defend my guy, Jose Romero, because we were the ones out there. We were it. It was us as the trio to cover spring training and to cover Torey's press conference today. All of those other cowards left us behind because rain or other conditions like the photo day.
Honestly, Derek, after my commute in to the office this morning, or not this morning, let's face it, this afternoon at 2 p.m.
Yeah, this morning.
The 202 was a disaster, and it was just because it was sprinkling.
Oh, yeah.
So I understand why people are trying to stay inside. Arizona drivers are ridiculous when a drop of water comes down from the sky.
Well, let me tell you also what they're ridiculous. When you're driving on the freeway and there's a curve or it goes uphill or downhill, that also scares them. Changes scare Arizona drivers because, look, Damon, let's be honest. Here in Phoenix, we have a grid, all right? Grid is simple. The grid, everyone should use the grid, but few cities do, and it makes things easy on us. However, we don't handle variables well. We haven't had the training that Torey's trying to give these guys out there today. But again, it's all about trying to get these guys ready for live action, which starts on Friday. So the Diamondbacks open up their season here against Colorado Rockies. The question on everyone's mind was, who is Torey going to start on Friday? Is it going to be Gallen? Is it going to be Merrill Kelly? Well, guess what? It's none of those guys. And in fact, Torey doesn't really even know because he forgot. But that just shows how important it is. It's not going to be a starter. It sounds like it's going to be one of the younger pitchers, and they're only going to go one inning. Here was Torey's answer about who's going to start on.
It's not going to be anybody that you're hoping, like Kelly, Gallen, Soroka. Gosh darn it. I looked at it today and I knew you guys would ask me, but it's going to be a youngster that's going to throw one inning. I know that much.
And does that just because of the start of the springtime or what?
Yeah, I think we're just going to slow play some things. Everybody's going to be ready, built up to 6 innings and 85, 90 pitches by the time they take their last spring start. So we're not, the clock is still in our favor with building guys up. We just want to give them as much time to throw their pens, their lives, and then eventually get them into a game.
Jason in the chat is asking, did Torey suddenly lose all body mass? He looks not well. I will have to admit, I did something weird with my camera today because it looks it's in the same place it always is, Damon, but it looks very far away. And I don't know how to answer. I thought the same thing.
I even zoomed it in, Derek.
Yeah, I know you did. It was even farther away on my shot, but no, Torey is fine health-wise. I assure you that. And me and Damon know because we go over to his house for dinner every Sunday, and we see that man eat.
He's eating like a champ.
A beast.
Yeah,
he eats like he's never eaten before. It's incredible. But by the way, great to see all of you guys here. Got to give a shout out to our mom here. Chris is in the chat, so anytime Chris is here, it's a special occasion. Glad to have you here. Can't wait to see you out at baseball games. Can't wait to see all of you guys out at spring training games or regular season once we get over to Chase Field. Can't wait for that. Those improvements, by the way, they're going to blow you away. If you haven't seen the new video board and the new additions that they made, the new ribbon board, they are top notch. 16, I don't even know what, 16K, 32K. I don't even know how many K. It's a lot of K. Lots of Ks. But speaking of Ks, let's talk about the pitching staff a little bit. Torey discussed Michael Soroka because I was curious as to if his progression is going to be any different. And I failed to ask about Eduardo Rodriguez as well, because it's a similar thing. Erod will be pitching for the Venezuelan team in the WBC. Michael Soroka will be pitching for Team Canada. But Michael Soroka also has a much different situation here than Erod. Though, I guess, Damon, you could argue that Erod is in the same situation as Michael Soroka. Like, Erod and Soroka are both essentially performing to make the starting rotation. Nothing is guaranteed to anybody. I mean, as much as Torey says that Gallen and Merrill aren't in there, but we know Gallen and Merrill in there. We know Ryan Nelson is in there.
Yeah.
So it pretty much feels like you have Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Michael Soroka kind of competing here for the final 2 spots. So
it does feel that way.
And 2 of those guys are going to be gone and miss time to the WBC. You could say that benefits them, or perhaps it, puts them kind of out of the team's kind of eye and control while they're sitting here, letting Brandon Pfaadt make starts and figuring these things out. But I asked Torey here about Michael Soroka and if his evaluation is going to be any different, or if his progress here throughout the season or preseason here is going to be any different. He was the only pitcher today we saw doing up downs. So he was pitching during live BP, and then Ryan Thompson came out, pitched, and then Michael Soroka came back out and pitched. We didn't see, like Thompson, for instance, he was done once he went out and he pitched his inning of work. But Soroka, it was on a pitch count, so they were obviously trying to get him stretched out, and it very much felt like he is, kind of still obviously in that starter conversation. Just because they added Zach Gallen does not immediately, make Michael Soroka on the out. He's not necessarily on the bubble. Like we said, you could probably say all 3 guys are on the bubble competing for those 2 spots. But Torey commented on Soroka's, spring so far, and if it's going to be any different than the other starting pitchers.
Yeah, everybody's going to get Soroka, I think, will be first out. Because he's going to pitch for Team Canada.
Right.
So I think he's going to be first out with our group in his progression. So I think he's day 4, maybe. You're going to see youngsters all the way up until Soroka, and I think Soroka first out, getting him ready for WBC.
So based on Torey saying that, I'm just kind of speculating here. It sounds like Soroka will make his first start on Monday's game, and the Diamondbacks will be using essentially their young pitchers to go out there and play the role of opener more than starter. I don't know if when he says youngsters, if he's penciling in a Mitch Bratt or a Cole Drake. I've seen Mitch Bratt out there quite a bit, in fact. So that's been kind of fun to see him out there. So there's a good chance he could have time. Or Torey could be alluding to the youngsters that are going to be competing for a bullpen spot as well. But Michael Soroka, again, he is a guy that will be taking part in the WBC. And again, there's just this weird timing with it. These guys are going to be with their World Baseball Classic teams on March 1st, and they kind of have to figure out how to get their reps in before the other guys. I mean, overall, there is enough time here with how long spring training is and when it starts. I feel like it starts earlier every year, and this might be the earliest it's ever started. But I do think we have Torey here talking about the WBC and how his approach for those guys might be different.
Yes. I'm currently working on that right now with some of the guys. I'll get a chance to call them in. They're going to get on the field early. How often? I'll leave it up to them. I don't know what the workload's going to be like for them once they leave on the 1st, but I want to be fair to them and get them as ready as possible so they can go represent their country. But yeah, I'm gonna manipulate the lineups a little bit to give them that opportunity to go out and be as ready as possible, because when they leave, we're gonna be able to fill up that space with the guys that are here. So it'll all equal out. But yeah, for sure, I'm gonna try to get them as ready as possible.
I'll tell you guys, I think that this is complicated. I think it's difficult. I know he's trying to do his best to manage all of this, but I feel like the World Baseball Classic does add a different wrinkle to this whole thing. I don't know. I mean, I still feel like, as Damon and I discussed at one point, I still think it's beneficial for the guys. I still think Merrill Kelly, even though he wasn't very good for Team USA when he participated in the World Baseball Classic, still had himself a hell of a year that season, and it feels like he's been a different pitcher ever since that point.
I would argue that it helped prepare him for the playoffs in particular.
Yeah.
Of like high leverage baseball. And yeah, it wasn't his best performance, but he started the final. And so now when he goes in the World Series, he goes out there and he shoves and he's slamming his glove when he comes off the mound. And I think about it every night before I go to bed, Derek.
Oh, I know. I have a hard time falling asleep thinking about that.
I'm fired up right now thinking about it.
It's funny because I don't know why this is the first time I've ever thought about it, but Alek Thomas, right? Like Alek Thomas also participated for Team Mexico in that WBC, and he delivered the biggest hit of the entire season for this team. In
second biggest hit probably in franchise history.
Yeah, and he planted a flag.
He did. He did. That was special.
He got used to taking over territory while playing for his world.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing to have your players be in these moments because I think it prepares you for, those high pressure and high leverage situations throughout the entirety of the season. Now, you want that's a knock on wood thing because like there's obviously Edwin Diaz like situations where you end up losing a guy, and that's worst case scenario, very unlikely to happen, but is possible. So you got to be on the lookout for things like that, but I'm all for it for the most part.
I mean, again, you could argue that a guy could slip on the freaking mud out there with the rain today and hurt himself.
100%. There's as unfortunate as it is, like there's car accidents that are like happen all the time with athletes, and it's
swinging a bat, didn't get hit, didn't have anything bad happen
in practice.
It was a stupid bone.
Yeah,
a stupid bone that we don't even need. Why? Let's just remove these from everyone's hand at birth, Damon. What are we doing? Why do we need hamate bones? This is insane. But speaking of Corbin, I'm still upset about his injury, yet he looked amazing today. He was out there. It doesn't look like in our video he actually has anything on his hand anymore. He definitely doesn't have the cast, but he still has like an ace bandage type wrap, just a very small amount too, nothing crazy. So I think it's mostly just to protect the stitches in his hand that he got when he had the surgery. But again, he was out there throwing, running, doing all the stuff. Like, it's just wild to me because when I get out there to the yard, you especially on a day like this was a weird day where the schedule was off. Photo day kind of messed everything up. And the first person I see out there is Corbin Carroll, just working, just busting his ass to ensure that his hand injury isn't going to keep him from preparing every single other part of him for the baseball season. It just sucks that it takes so much time away from him having a bat in his hand, and it takes time away from him catching baseballs. And all of that is obviously very valuable when ramping up and getting prepared for the season. I shouldn't be surprised by it, but I am. I'm still, like I said, we had people dunking on us when we were talking about Corbin coming back, the next day after surgery, saying he has another hand. Like they were like, why? I don't understand why this is so impressive. The man still had like sedation in his system from having surgery. There was still like stuff from his surgery running through his blood system, and he just got up, went to work, and started doing his job. Most of us would have taken a week off to recover from hand surgery. Corbin didn't even take 24 hours, right? So even though I might be surprised, his manager is not. And this is what Torey had to say about Corbin being an absolute beast and machine.
No, because I've watched it so often and it doesn't surprise me anymore. But it did at one time, and I thought, this guy's like a machine. And it's hard to describe the disciplines that he has. So when I see him throwing balls off the wall a day after his procedure, I am not surprised by it anymore. He is going to try to shrink up that gap of downtime to make sure it's as little as possible before he gets back on the field. He doesn't do that for himself. He does that for his team. He wants to go out there and help us win games, and that's the most impressive part about him.
Still feels like Corbin is going to be back by opening day. That might just be hope. Again, I completely understand. After everything this team has gone through, like letting someone of Corbin Carroll's caliber take an extra week to make sure he's healed, to take as much time as he needs. Same thing with Lourdes being ready by opening day. As great as that would be, as much as it is amazing to see him out there, again, working as hard as Corbin, like it's just wild. Lourdes doesn't even look like he's in any kind of injury protocol. At the very least, Corbin's not taking batting practice and such with the fellas when Corbin's out there working out, he is doing a lot of it by himself or with a trainer or maybe with one of the coaches, but he's not getting a lot of team activity due to the fact that he's just having to work on stuff that whatever he can work on. Meanwhile, Lourdes is just part of the batting groups, and he's just out there taking live BP and taking batting practice and then going out to the field and running down fly balls and catching them. And I just still cannot believe this for a man that suffered a torn ACL 5 months ago, September of 2025.
Yeah, it happened really late.
September, October, November, December, January, February, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Like, it's insane. So there was a chance that he could come back, I think, by the 8-month mark, but I don't think anybody was talking about him coming back at the 6-month mark, aside from Lourdes.
Save us, Lourdes.
Lourdes was like, I will be back in for opening day, and he knew he would. Meanwhile, I was speculating that we could have lost Lourdes for the year. I think I said at one point on this podcast that we may have seen the last of Lourdes Gurriel in a Diamondbacks jersey. That is not the case, my friend.
That was a reverse jinx, Derek, and that's why you're the best in the business, is because you're willing to put your reputation on the line for the betterment of this franchise. And we appreciate you for it.
Do I have any reputation left?
I mean, not anymore, but maybe you did at one point.
I mean, I drank that away.
With the champagne
and with my shirt off.
Yeah, that probably was the end of anyone. Yeah, I agree.
Let's be honest. No one took me seriously before that, so that's also fine. But
you were Big J.
Yeah, I was Big J today, wasn't I?
You were.
Wasn't I? Because there was only 3 of us, so someone had to do the question asking around here. Oh, sorry, Torey. Sorry you had to put up with me. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, we got stuff to talk about, including the Diamondbacks playoff odds and MLB.com thinking that they can overcome those odds, perhaps how that could be done. Big factor there, Jordan Lawlar, who is going to have a huge season for this team, or maybe not, and will probably be labeled a bust if that's the case. Which way is it going to go? We hope it's the first scenario. We're going to talk about it here in a moment. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. To multiply is my time doing nothing, not standing around waiting in the rain for baseball players to come work out. I would like to multiply my time at home on the couch, not doing nothing, not that other stuff. But you hopefully can multiply the amount of time that you want to do things that you love in life with the new multiplier scratcher tickets from Arizona Lottery. They are the perfect way to add to your life, whether it is things like the good things in life, like maybe multiply cars, multiply the vacation time in your life, or like me, multiply the relaxation time in your life, because with more than $270 million in prizes, you could win big enough to do more of the things you love in life. And I'll tell you, one of the things I definitely love is watching baseball, so I already get plenty of that. But you know what? Maybe I'll go see every stadium when I win. That would be a nice way to multiply the number of stadiums I've visited. So with access to over 3,500 retailers across the state, you can play wherever and whenever you like with these new multiplier scratcher tickets from Arizona Lottery. Must be 21 or over to enjoy the play. And also at Mountain America Credit Union, everyone needs a checking account. They want to give you one that gives back to you, has built-in benefits that saves you money instead of your checking account always taking your money away. And you can get the account with built-in benefits. It is Mountain America's My Style checking account, and it has perks just for you, including mobile phone protection, which we could all use in this day and age with us dropping our phones every other day. Also, restaurant deals, because restaurants are absurdly expensive these days, and they can save you on that. They also have telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. So make My Style for your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to get information and to apply. Insured by NCUA, membership is required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions do apply. Well, MLB.com had an article today about teams they think can overcome their MLB or their current playoff odds, their preseason playoff odds. And of course, the Diamondbacks do not have very good odds of making the playoffs in 2026. We knew that. Don't tell us the chances. We don't want to know the odds, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The Diamondbacks have a 31.6% chance of making the playoffs. And the reason why MLB listed that the Diamondbacks have the odds against them is pitching, which is something I think we can all agree with. The Diamondbacks offense has been stellar. In fact, I'm starting to believe that if the Diamondbacks can somehow be a top 10 offense in baseball once again, that Joe Mather needs some sort of statue to be erected of him outside of Chase Field. And
Yeah, it's gonna be like a dictator style statue too.
Yes.
And we're gonna march in formation and wear outfits. Yeah, for sure. And Joe Mather is our king.
Yeah, and he will have a vote on whether it's bearded Joe Mather or shaved Joe Mather, because he loves to just switch it up randomly out of nowhere. Beard one day, fresh baby face tonight. Not fresh baby face. I swear, even if that man shaves, his 5 o'clock shadow grows back within 30 seconds of him shaving. It's wild. It's
that's a real man.
It's a real man.
That's what a real man does, Derek.
Not a guy like this with a mustache.
Or a boy like me.
Yeah,
but
little boys like us.
100%. Joe Mather, he's tasked with elevating the games of Pavin Smith, Jordan Lawlar, Alec Thomas, Adrian Del Castillo. Like, these are all guys that are going to need a lot of playing time. Even Gabriel Moreno, I'd argue. Yeah. Lourdes when he comes back. Like, those guys are necessary for this team to win this season. And so, if he finds a way to do it, like, all props to him, 100%.
100%. And again, with the top of the lineup being as formidable as it is, right? You don't necessarily need to make miracles happen with this offense with those guys that you're talking about.
100%.
Right?
They just need to be like average.
You get Alec Thomas and those guys around 250 batting average. You get them contributing in the bottom of the lineup and driving in some runs of those guys, that are going to get on base a lot. And this team is fine offensively. Pitching is the biggest problem. And obviously we know injuries are the reason why the Diamondbacks right now are projected to be very bad. And it's not just Justin Martinez and AJ Puck. It's not just missing Corbin Burns. It's the fact that there's so many unanswered questions about this bullpen and this staff, right? But the Diamondbacks had the 4th highest bullpen ERA last season, and FanGraphs ranks the team's relievers as tied for 27th in projected WAR for an entire season, Damon, 1.2. That is the projected WAR of the Diamondbacks bullpen for the 2026 season.
Derek, it sounds like another Mike Hazen bullpen. That's what that sounds like to me.
At the very least, it can't be worse than that, right? Like they can't be worse than 27.
There's a lot of unknowns in this bullpen. We talk about it all the time. There is like some room for optimism and hope because, like, what is FanGraphs basing any of these guys off of? Yeah. It's not like relievers are oftentimes like your big time prospects. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Jordan Lawlar will be given grace by a FanGraphs type projection system because he was supposed to be so good.
For sure.
Right? So they're like, he's going to have a 3+ WAR season. Whereas who really, Brandon Garcia is like our 27th prospect or something like that.
And he's going to be in the bullpen.
Because that's typical of bullpen guys.
You need a left-handed bullpen arm, and there's not many of those. I'm not sure if you've seen that. You also have the fact that, like, again, FanGraphs doesn't have a good chance to know who's going to be in the bullpen because of the uncertainty. Right? There's a lot of uncertainty about this pen, and a lot of uncertainty about the guys that probably end up in this pen. But it does feel like we're getting closer, right? Like if you factor in a Michael Soroka being in there as a long reliever, let's just say for argument's sake, because somebody from the starting rotation is going to have to go to the pen, be cut, be DFA'd, like.
Which that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense.
No, it wouldn't, because you're going to eat that. It doesn't, right? So
he was paid a decent amount of money,
$7.5 million.
Yeah.
So you got Michael Soroka, let's just say for argument's sake, in the bullpen. You got Ryan Thompson. You got Kevin Ginkel. You got Paul Sewald. You got Brandon Garcia, right? There's 5. You traded Blaze Alexander for Cade Stroud. Are you really going to leave him out of the bullpen?
Yeah,
probably not. 6. So we're talking about 2 spots available. But when you look at these other things, these other 6 fingers, you don't feel super confident about that bullpen being better than a bottom 5 bullpen in baseball. However, they could be. because
No, it could be.
those guys are all capable of it at
Yeah.
times in their career. They just all kind of were bad last year. All of them. Even the parts the Diamondbacks acquired. Oh, I forgot Taylor Clark. Are you going to trade for Taylor Clark and not have him be in the bullpen? There's number 7. Like, I almost feel like this bullpen is already put together.
Sign Taylor Clark, but
Sign
yeah.
Taylor, excuse me, sorry. You're right. Sign Taylor Clark. And then Dre Jameson, maybe.
Potentially, yeah.
You know, or like, again, one other spot. Like,
well, I mean, it's good that we have options at least, right? Like there's some names to be named, but yeah, you need a little bit more certainty with
Right.
the guys that you have because there's a lot of uncertainty. But with uncertainty comes potential, I would argue. Like,
Correct.
it's better than having a bunch of knowns who are trash. Like, so, which is what last year was. And you need big bounce backs from Ryan Thompson and Kevin Ginkel in particular. And I think that they're going to be given their run. That's why you need big bounce backs from them because those guys are in the pen.
Right.
So it's like they're going to be given high leverage roles. So if they stink, it's really going to hurt the team.
Yeah.
Whereas the other guys might have to earn it a little bit more, which, hopefully the players that earn it, the cream rises to the top there. But that'd be nice.
The thing. He said the cream rises to the top. Oh yeah, brother. I got more than President Jack Tunney thinks that I got. Oh yeah. But when it comes to defying the odds, and this team needs to do that, they have to do it through their offense, right? Obviously, keeping Ketel Marte is what MLB.com listed as the most important contributor to that. While a haul would have been nice, a haul would have been more about the future than the now. So keeping that trio of Ketel Marte, Corbin Carroll, and Geraldo Perdomo intact was key to keeping this offense together. You get a guy like Gabby Moreno having a breakout season, or perhaps contributions from Nolan Arenado and Carlos Santana, and all of a sudden this offense looks solid. Not to mention defensively, they look really good in the infield. Still some questions about the outfield, where guys are going to play, who's going to be out there. How is Jordan Lawlar going to fare? And that seems to be the big question. That seems to be the guy that everybody is talking about. That seems to be the biggest unknown. He is the player that Steve Gilbert named in an MLB article also dropped yesterday about the players with the most to prove for each team this spring. And I couldn't agree more, right? I mean, you could say quite a bit about perhaps a Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen has a lot to prove on a personal level. Zach Gallen wants to still get that contract that we always thought Gallen would get in free agency that didn't come this year around. So I feel like Gallen also has a lot to prove, far more than a Merrill Kelly or, other additions to this team. Perhaps a Paul Sewald has a lot to prove. But the one thing you could say about Paul Sewald is he is at a later stage in his career where proving himself isn't really the point here as much as just being a contributor to a team that can help a team win. And that's something I still believe Paul Sewald can do. But when it comes to like a bust, when it comes to disappointment, Jordan Lawlar has the most to prove because Jordan Lawlar wasn't being evaluated any longer as a prospect last year. He was being evaluated as a major league player. And the Diamondbacks theoretically chose to go with Lawlar over Blaze Alexander, though I hate to say that. I know it's something we talk about a lot. Blaze had far more value than Jordan Lawlar and is a big reason why they were able to pull off the trade for a pitcher like Cade Stroud, who had such great numbers from last year and is still very controllable by the team, right? So he could be a vital piece to the future of this team and maybe one of the staples of the bullpen going forward. But for now, we don't know if Jordan Lawlar is a bust or not. I am going to have a very hard time saying negative things about Jordan Lawlar while we talk about this, because I will admit it, I like Jordan Lawlar a lot. And you know me, I am not unbiased when it comes to guys I like. And I will say that when you're nice to me, it's very easy to win me over. But also, Jordan seems to be very excited about this opportunity. Jordan seems to be very committed to this change to outfield. And I think that athletically, he's gifted enough to do it. It's just a matter of what is he going to contribute offensively, and is he going to be able to adapt and play outfield at a major league level where he knows the angles and can kind of navigate that porch out there in center field. He was selected 6th overall in the 2021 MLB draft, and it feels like the Diamondbacks haven't had much luck here with their highly drafted prospects. But again, development takes time, especially with how young some of these guys are. Drew Jones is another guy that's venturing into the same territory as far as Lawlar is concerned. He's also a guy I like so much and is also participating in the WBC. He is a guy that I want to see have a successful, march here with his WBC team and kind of break out a little bit and have that success carry over to his time, in the minor leagues and take that next step forward, right? But
yeah, I mean, that's another that's the exact type of thing we're talking about, I think, off the top of the show, where it's like those high leverage situations matter. And I feel like
yes,
a guy like that is going to play the most meaningful baseball he's ever played in his entire life.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
going to go back to Hillsboro and be like, man, this is way lower stakes than I thought it was.
Right. But hungry, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
hungry, but the
you
pressure,
get a taste of that, right?
but the pressure off your back a little
True.
bit more
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
Which
Yeah.
is like, I feel like, maybe
Playing for country is there is going to be a lot of pressure there.
Yeah.
It would appear that he's going to be a starter, right?
I mean, at least in the projected lineups I've seen that he's a starter. It would be cool if he started. His dad's like somewhat running the show, so maybe it's a coach's son situation.
That could always help. But I mean, Jordan just again with the injury to Lourdes, with the injury to Corbin, Jordan has no choice but to step up. They traded Jake McCarthy, they traded Blaze Alexander. There's nobody else to kind of step in. There is Tim Tawa, there is Jorge Barosa. There's other guys that if Lawlar isn't capable of doing it, that there are guys that are fully capable of doing it. Tim Tawa, by the way, who Geraldo Perdomo was trying to convince to go play Dominican Winter League ball. That's probably my favorite thing that I've seen Domo do.
Perdomo was trying to get Tim Tawa
to go play, Winter League ball.
I
Because
love that.
he was like, he was basically like, it'll change your life. Like it'll change.
Probably was like, come live at my house.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
our crib now. Like we're
100%.
gonna have the time of our lives.
Right.
Could you imagine the swag Tim Tawa would come back with if he went on that? If he actually did that?
Oh man, he would
Braided hair,
tattoos.
Yeah.
Probably. He would come back pronouncing Bad Bunny like Babani.
It probably would lock him in on as a roster spot on this team.
Probably. But Lawlar will get an extended look this spring in the outfield. And that's probably, like, again, if Jordan Lawlar doesn't find a way to successfully convert to being an outfielder, he might not even see regular season playing time due to those other guys. Like Tim Tawa wants playing time. Jorge Barosa wants playing time. These guys are going to perform and they're going to compete as well during spring. Nothing is gifted to Lawlar, but it's what, it's where the team wants him to play, and it's the opportunity he's being given. I just think at this point, if he doesn't find a way to have success at this level in this position, then his value starts dropping. I think that his value is already not at its peak, and it's the big reason why he probably wasn't part of trade talks, though I'm sure in some cases there might have been a desire internally to keep, someone like Blaze Alexander over Jordan, right? But I'm just speculating there. I still think based on how high of a draft pick he is and based on, everything that this organization knows about him, that they still believe in him and they still think that he, his development is coming along. You could argue that he has had a lot asked of him. This is a guy that played a position that seemed to be blocked by Geraldo Perdomo and Ketel Marte, and he has done everything he can to try to play these other positions so that he can find a way onto a Major League Baseball field and get regular at-bats. I believe once he gets regular at-bats and has a place to play, he will find success because he has done it at every level of his career up to this point. So I still believe in Jordan, and I think that, again, this might just be me doing the thing I said I was going to do earlier where I'm being biased about him because I like him. But I also think that he, it's not exactly fair to ask a young player to start converting positions and to do it in kind of a rapid way. Like it felt like suddenly he was a third baseman and you kind of knew why he was going to be a third baseman because they needed a third baseman of the future. And you can't really say it didn't really work out, but now they have a guy who has 1 million platinum gloves playing over there. So in order for him to get any kind of regular at-bats and any regular playing time, the outfield seems to be the only path. And then even then, right, you're talking about him being in the outfield until Lourdes and Corbin and Alec are all healthy, then he has to outperform Alec Thomas essentially to get playing time, which might not be the most difficult thing offensively, but he's going to have to be incredibly sound defensively out there in order to win playing time over Alec Thomas. And then he still has to put together, much better at bats than we saw for the majority of his season last year. So
yeah, I mean, he just hasn't shown an ability to hit any sort of off-speed pitch so far in his
Correct.
career, and until he fixes that, that's going to be the book on him, and they're going to keep throwing a lot his way, right? And so you hope that he can start jumping on fastballs better, and then just show a little bit of development on the off-speed side of things. But I mean, Jordan Lawlar, like it is a make or break year, but again, as there is with I think the bullpen, there's room for optimism. Right? Like
I agree.
He hasn't gotten the opportunity
I agree.
that he will get this season yet in his career. And now the Red Sea is parted, if you will, and he is, he just gets to get a lot of at bats all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So what do you have in store for this fan base and for this franchise? I think that, hopefully, this is the year we finally see some life out of Jordan Lawlar, and I think that would go a long way in terms of, making this offense fine, as Mark puts it up there in the chat. Like if you can get contributions from Gabby, Lourdes, Lawlar, who are like above average players, now all of a sudden the offense does look pretty decent, I would argue. So,
well, and also, I mean, he's been in this organization now for 5 years, Damon, which
yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, he rose through the organization fast, but then it kind of has stalled out, right?
Yeah.
Because of injury and lack of opportunity and whatnot.
And also, like it felt like once they moved him, it kind of reset things. Not to say that he was going to have some big opportunity to play shortstop or second base, but you could tell that.
I think the plan was shortstop until another guy decided I'm planting my flag in this position for a very, very long time, and rightfully so. I mean, there was a lot of people that doubted whether the Dbacks should even allow Perdomo to be the opening day starter in 2024. And those people have egg on their face. You know what I mean? Like that's a special circumstance that was like a positive thing for the Dbacks at least.
I got to tell you this. Do you know how important Ketel Marte is to his teammates? I asked Dre Jameson on like the second day of camp, just like a normal, like, hey, how's it going? How's everything? And his response was a lot better now that we didn't trade a guy named Marte over there, right? Like his first response to me was like, things are good because we didn't trade Marte, and that's one of his teammates. So don't tell me that his teammates have a problem with Ketel Marte, because that's the first response that someone gets out of him. But yeah, like you said, there's a couple of guys that planted their flag that don't plan on leaving those positions anytime soon. But we're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of this break, we are going to talk about the ESPN's offseason grades for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they probably nailed it. So we'll talk about it here in a moment. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, Circle K is my thirst stop. It's Damon's thirst stop, and it's America's thirst stop. So if you need to get yourself something to drink, especially on a cold day like this, go save yourself money on some hot coffee, maybe some hot chocolate, all sorts of other wonderful options that you can find at Circle K. And you'll save yourself some money by joining the Inner Circle Rewards program, which you should do right now. Do it ahead of time. Get ready for the next Inner Circle Rewards Fuel Day, where you'll save 40 cents off per gallon on gas, and you'll also save on drinks like a 79-cent Polar Pop or a 99-cent Froster that you will get for being an Inner Circle member. And there's all sorts of other deals that you will get, including right now where you can save 25 cents off per gallon when you buy 3 Coca-Cola 20-ounce Coca-Cola products. So do not miss out on all of these deals, and some deals, like I said, you don't even know that you're going to get. You join the Inner Circle, you go up there, you put your phone number in, next thing you know, 3 things you're buying that you had no idea were on sale suddenly are. That's how wonderful the Inner Circle Rewards program is. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And rainy days like this are made for pure edibles. That's because I love sitting around and watching the rainfall and turning on my little fake fireplace in my house and just pretending like I live in the mountains somewhere, because these days don't come often. And of course, pure edibles can help you enjoy days like this. They have wonderful candy that have multiple different effects. You can get a sleep edition gummy. You can get one that helps with pain. You can also get one that elevate your moods, and so many more. So many things that I'm not even including here. They also have a wide variety of candies, not just gummies. They have hard candies, chews, soft candies. They also have their version of Starburst that they call Kicks. And they also have a delicious array of flavors that you can find. Do not sleep on the Starfruit. It's delicious. So do not miss out on all of this that Pure Edibles has to offer, and their collaboration with Mother Road Brewing Company, where they put out a all-in-one THC device that features some of the piney hops and citrusy notes from one of the finest IPAs in all of the land, Tower Station IPA. You can now get that Tower Station all-in-one from Pure Edibles at local dispensary. So do not miss out on all of this. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products from one of over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Also, by the way, the Phoenix Suns crew is having a watch party tomorrow. If you do not know that already, you want to go watch this amazing Phoenix Suns team overachieve, much like we hope this Diamondbacks team will overachieve. Join Eric Ruby, SPG, Gil, the voice of PHNX Dbacks After Dark theme song, Espo, and all of our Suns diehards out at the watch party at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. You can watch Book and the Suns take on the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow. There will be a live pre and post game show. There will be food and drink specials, and there will be PHNX giveaways. Of course, the Immaculate Vibes are free as always, but you do ask RSVP for free to be entered into the raffle. So do so now over at gophnx.com and then join us. We're going to be having a great time out there for sure. Also, how many days now until SPG gets hired by an NBA team as like an analyst or an assistant coach?
It would be the Suns because of his relationship with Jordan Ott.
Oh, it would be the biggest fumble.
They're almost symbiotic.
Yeah, like it would be Matt Ishbia's biggest fumble if he didn't sign SPG.
I would say it will happen within the next, 2 off seasons here. I mean, there might be maybe next off season is a little bit too early,
Yeah.
but like one more year of relationship building, and they're going to be like, "What are we doing?
Yeah.
We need to get this guy in the building."
I mean, it's insane. It's insane. That guy knows more about basketball than I know about anything combined. So that's probably not a good comparison. I'm probably not the best person. He knows more about basketball than Jesse does about baseball. I'm starting that fight. But
Wow.
Of course, yeah, no, I had to throw it out there. I had to do it.
Friedman v. Prisian Gardner.
Yeah, I want to
Make the boxing posters now.
It's on the undercard of Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey. It's going to be amazing. But I will tell you guys, of course, the Diamondbacks did get graded by ESPN for their off-season moves, and it is a grade that I think is probably pretty fair. ESPN and Jeff Passan, they know their stuff over there. They gave the Dbacks a C+ for their offseason moves, noting key additions of Zach Gallen, who re-signed, Merrill Kelly, Nolan Arenado, Carlos Santana, Michael Soroka, Paul Sewald, and Cade Stroud. Key departures being Blaze Alexander and Jake McCarthy. I feel like that list seems kind of small, key departures, but we did trade everybody at the trade deadline for the most part, and Zach Gallen ends up coming back here. So they do not lose him. I would argue that perhaps the Diamondbacks, if anything, deserve a B- over a C+. And I would argue with a teacher about that. Okay. And my argument is based on simple mathematics. When you take a look at what the Diamondbacks are being hit up here for the group of guys that they were hit up for, they signed Merrill Kelly for $20 million for 2026. We're just talking about 2026 numbers, since most of these guys are either on a 1-year or 2-year deal with this team. So they get Merrill Kelly for $20 million. They have Nolan Arenado as a member of this team for $5 million. They have Carlos Santana as a member of this team for $2.5 million, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So we have 20. We have 25 and then 27.5 million. You throw in Michael Soroka, $7.5 million. Now we're up to 35 million. You have Paul Sewald at 1.5, 36.5 million. Cade Stroud was a trade. And then Zach Gallen comes back. Now Zach Gallen's $22 million is 14 million of it is deferred. So you add 7 million on, and for the low price of essentially like $44 million, the Diamondbacks added all of these pieces to this team. When you look at free agency look at what Kyle Tucker is getting paid. The Diamondbacks spent, $20 million less than the Dodgers did for next year on these guys. And that deserves a better grade than a C+. I think that is what is the most impressive thing about Mike Hazen, what Mike Hazen was able to do. He was able to get the St. Louis Cardinals to eat a ridiculous amount of the contract for Nolan Arenado. They were able to get Zach Gallen to agree to come back here on a 1-year prove-it deal for himself and defer the majority of the money he's getting paid on that 1-year prove-it deal. They have Merrill Kelly back here for 2 years, and quite frankly, of all these guys, Merrill Kelly is the guy that does deserve the biggest contract, getting that $40 million for 2 years. Merrill has earned it with the way he has pitched. Merrill was the best pitcher on this team last season, and he has been the most consistent performer outside of cramps, which, again, let's get that HVAC system fixed faster than 2 seasons from now. But overall here, I think that the Diamondbacks did an excellent job this offseason. Are they contenders for a World Series title? I would be foolish to say that. I think anybody would. But are they going to be a competitive baseball team in 2026? Far more competitive than I thought they were going to be. Far more competitive. And Damon can attest to that, because Damon not only had to talk me down off the ledge several times, but he looked at me and was disgusted with me. He was like, "Pick yourself up, Derek, you sniveling coward. We are going to go into the season and fight." And he was right, because they are going to fight. And I don't hate the moves that were made. I think overall, the ESPN credited that the re-signing of Gallen really bumped the grade up, probably from like a C- or maybe even a D for the Diamondbacks. But I think that what the end result could be for this team is an incredible starting rotation. Corbin Burnes, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Ryan Nelson, and then whoever of the other 3 guys really performs that earns that spot, right? Because we have that in the future. We have a bullpen that will have AJ Puck return in June and then J Mart in August. So pieces are going to return, and this team is going to get better as the season goes on. Not to mention, if we can somehow be a buyer at the trade deadline, perhaps the Diamondbacks can really add enough pieces to put themselves over the top to, in fact, become a contender. Because I would argue, with Corbin Burnes and AJ Puck and J Mart all as a part of this team, things look much better for this Diamondbacks organization than they currently do.
You're going to be sick of hearing as much as you do from like Steve Berthiaume and people that cover this team, that the trade deadline acquisitions are coming in the way of Corbin Burnes, AJ Puck.
Yeah, that they're already,
Justin
there's
Martinez.
guaranteed trade deadline acquisitions.
Absolutely, guys.
You're going to hear it from me. Are you kidding me?
Derek's going to do it as well. He's going to hear it around and have to use it a couple of times in his own right. But yeah, you're going to get sick of hearing that as much as you do. But in reality, it's the truth. You also just need to, I think, stay afloat to get to the trade deadline, because if they're 500 at the deadline and those guys are still, in the early stages of coming back or going to come back soon, I think that this team with, Torey being on an expiring deal, with Mike Hazen knowing that there's some pressure, essentially, I would think that they're going to gun for it if that's the case, if they're around 500, because they know that they have stars coming back, and any sort of addition can matter a lot. So I'm actually excited for this season, because I don't really know what it's going to bring. It could be disappointing. I think it also could be a season that is a little bit unexpected and turns into a playoff appearance. So
Robert makes a good point when he says best infield, including Gabby, in all of MLB.
It's hard with that first base position, man.
But I'm telling you,
unless we're talking defensively, and then I completely agree with you.
Yes, I think, that's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Offensively, a lot of questions here. In fact, one of the reasons why they weren't more excited about the offseason was Nolan Arenado and Carlos Santana. Nolan Arenado had, let's get this straight. It's not Arenado, it's Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
We clarified that with him today.
Your Puerto Rican
so
brother.
Let's get that. Let's all get on the same page. Let's all pronounce it the way the man and his family pronounced it. It's Arenado. He had an OPS plus of 87. Maybe when I'm correcting his name, I shouldn't say like egregious things about his stats from 2025. But Carlos Santana had an OPS plus of 77. And ESPN said both of these are uninspiring. And they're not wrong. But what I will say is I believe in both of these guys to have a bounce back season. I don't know if Carlos Santana is going to really offer much production offensively, but I feel like his defense is going to be a vast upgrade of what they have over there now. And I do think that Tyler Locklear, when he returns, which sounds like it's going to be later than we anticipated, it's a good thing that they have Santana due to that. But I think Tyler Locklear, again, he is going to be a guy that, is going to benefit most likely from this Carlos Santana situation, and perhaps even Pavin Smith does. Again, it's I've said it before. I don't believe any of these guys are going to mentor the other guys, but when you're around a platinum gold glover like platinum glover, gold glover like Arenado, it's hard not for it to kind of rub off on you and for you to have discussions with him. And I mean, he's so far what I've seen out of Arenado is he's an incredible teammate. He has been getting along well with everybody. He looks like he's been a part of this team for years.
Definitely commands respect, right? I mean,
I
you
think
can't be a
that's it.
platinum glove winner and not command respect, have
Right.
as many home runs, hits as this guy does, and had the career that he's had without people being like, he's a legend.
But it's also the effort that he's putting in
Yeah.
to mingle with his teammates and to become part of
Being
the
that
squad.
being that caliber of player and coming in with humility, I think goes a long way
Yes.
for people.
Yes, that's
And
what it
it
is.
seems like he just wants to be a part of the team.
And it's easy for him to be humble based on the numbers that he put up last year. He knows that he did not do well. It's the reason why on the first day of being a part of this team, Arenado was sending video of his swing to the coaches to try to start working just on day one, right? So
I think part of that is feeling wanted as well, because you could tell
Yes.
how much
Yeah.
disdain he had for the Cardinals for how things played out.
15 months of going through that.
And
Like
I'm sure
15
that-
months of what we went through with Ketel for a few months here during this offseason. That's awful. I hope we never get that with Ketel. I hope the lose this number phrase went loud and clear to all GMs across baseball. Those talks are dead. We're not resurrecting them, and we're moving on.
Here's what I think is going to help with Ketel. Opening day, leadoff batter, number 4, Ketel Marte, the loudest pop you're going to hear of any player maybe the entire Dbacks season. I mean, it's going to be a sold-out crowd, and it's going to be people on their feet standing up for their superstar who didn't get traded this offseason. And I think that's going to be like a big moment for him. Not that he doesn't already feel this way, because I'm sure he sees the love that he's getting from the fan base, but like the fans love Ketel. I think Torey loves Ketel and has had those conversations with him. And so I feel like, things are going to be all right on the Ketel side of things.
I agree.
We didn't handle it like the Cardinals handled the Arenado situation. They wanted him gone and were willing to pay 75% of his contract to get him gone.
Yeah.
The Dbacks were saying, we want
Still just doesn't
like
make any sense to me.
we want like an unprecedented package for Ketel, essentially, is what the Dbacks were saying, for a second baseman.
Yeah.
And no one gave us that offer. So
Because it's unprecedented.
100%.
And it stays unprecedented, and we're fine with that. I have said it time and time again, but Ketel Marte still being a part of this team is one of the reasons why this team still has a chance to contend. And if they did not have Ketel, the outlook for 2026 would be far bleaker. And I don't know what they would have gotten back for Ketel that would have made this offseason grade be higher than a C+. But what I will say is I hope Arenado, I'm going to try to train myself to do it right, and Carlos Santana both prove a lot of naysayers wrong, and I hope they both have a resurgence here. It would be amazing. I also think that they're capable of it. I don't feel like this is a crossing my fingers thing. Perhaps I feel that a little bit more about Jordan Lawlar playing center field. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it works. I just don't know if it's going to. I already feel like what I've seen out of Arenado and I've seen out of Carlos Santana, putting in the work, playing with their infield, like bonding with their teammates this spring. I think this is going to be, in fact, as Robert said, one of, if not the best infield defensively in baseball. So that's what we have to look forward to. And of course, I thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time. We love you. We will be back here with one last 5 p.m. show this week, and then we'll be back to 12 p.m. on Friday so that we can kind of hype up the first spring training game, and then you guys can go watch Diamondbacks play some baseball, real baseball, against another team. So, of course, we thank you guys for joining us. Until 5 p.m. tomorrow, make sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at @cap_caveman with a K. Damon is at Damon Dog with a DAWG. And as always, we're all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. Our show is at PHNX _Dbacks. But as always, all roads lead to at PHNX _sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and any other social media that exists out there. But again, thank you guys so much for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, hope you have a wonderful evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when it doesn't rain.
We all silly like the mayor.